get started. There is another Prabhuji I was in conversation with. Hopefully he will join today. He's very senior and a lot of realizations, Krishna consciousness he has. Now I've invited him. Hopefully he will be able to join. This is the very first time he will join. And I look forward to his association, and I'm sure all of us will get benefit from it. So let's get started. So Shri Īśopaniṣad, we are doing the version by Srila Prabhupada. Let's get the blessings from Mangachara, and then we shall resume back. Ajnana-timirannasya jnana-jana-shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Sakaramayam Dadati Swapadamtikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padman Sahagana Lalita Shri Visasavitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Dharmani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripam Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Junavari Pashat Deshikarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhattavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, jai jai Shri Radha. Hare Krishna. And welcome Anil Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So today we started a bit late. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
And I was thinking, anytime anything happens, it says that it got to be by the permission of the Lord. I was thinking, why I'm getting late? And obviously, because we didn't want you to miss anything. And maybe that's why. So we just started, Prabhuji. So good to have you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Anil Prabhuji is a very close friend. He lives nearby, and he's part of the Parampara. And the whole family, not only Prabhuji, Mataji, and Jay, his son, who's great. And I'm missing his association in the kids' class. So hopefully see him tomorrow. And in Shri Īśopaniṣad, where we are now, is kind of in the middle. We need to start the next section, but because we've been away, Christmas, New Year, and last week we did have a session, but some of the regulars couldn't come. But one of our dear friend, he joined from Dubai, Avinash, and he is one of those who got these sessions started. And he was the one who said, I would like to do Bhagavad Gita. And lockdown was just about to start. And he said, okay, how about this? We just started on WhatsApp, I think, initially. And then we had to record for some reason because he couldn't join one session. Then another friend joined. And so we were. He's one of those who came back like a couple of years later, because we did every day for at least an hour and sometimes even more. And we discussed Goloka chart as part of that. So when we recently did Goloka chart, that was the second time, but the very first time we did Goloka chart with him. And those recordings are there on YouTube as well. And the recording initially was just done for him because he could not attend one session. And he wanted to. So because of his shift, he works in aviation field in Emirates Airlines. And when that recording went on YouTube, there were so many people who came back to me, commented on that they would like to. And a lot of people did come back. And Goloka chart was one of those things which really, I was surprised at how many of us are interested in Goloka chart and want to know about the Lord. So all the glories to him, and he's still spiritual, going strong, which is great. He can't join every time because of his service. Like we know, we all have different services all the time. But it's good for those who could join as and when we can. So no hard feeling there. Sometimes we have less, sometimes we have more. But in Shri Īśopaniṣad, we are, out of all the Vedic literature, this is one of them which is directly about the Lord. So when we see Bhagavatam, we say Bhagavatam is the topmost Grantha because it's the natural commentary on the Vedanta. Vedanta is the Ant of Vedas, and Vedas, everything comes from Vedas. So Upanishads and Puranas, Mahakavyas, all of them, the knowledge and the wisdom there comes from Vedas. So Vedas, they are the main Grantha, main Shastras, and everything else, they are the subset. So all the Upanishads, especially all the Puranas, all the Upanishads, they are actually the end of one of the Vedas. So for example, Shri Īśopaniṣad, and I'm thinking, I think it's part of Rig Veda. So Shri Īśopaniṣad, these 18 mantras are part of Rig Vedas. And I don't remember exactly where, but I think in the very first slide, we did discuss that exactly where it is. And I can find out. I forgot, top of my head. But everything comes from there. Now, Bhagavatam is the essence of all that, all the essence of four Vedas, all Upanishads, all Puranas. If one does Bhagavatam. Now, Bhagavatam got 18,000 verses directly about the Lord. So very first time when Ved Vyas were very despondent, he was kind of upset that he wasn't feeling well, not bodily, not that he got a fever or something, but mentally he was not satisfied. And when his spiritual master Narad Muni came, Narad Muni said, "What's up? What happened to you? Why are you like this? You have done compilation of Vedas, Upanishads, so many Puranas." And that was the time he said, "I don't know. I hope you could tell me." And he said, "That's the reason I'm here, because he is one of what we call, there are 12 main supreme Mahabhagavats, we can call, and there are different names, like Bhishma is one of them, Hanumanji is one of them, Bali Maharaj is one of them, Dhruva is one of them, and the Narad Muni is one of them. Out of 12, and there's a verse in Bhagavatam which lists all the 12 names in one shloka. So he knows it all. And then he said, you have said a lot about the spirituality, about Vedic culture, how to live a spiritual life, but you haven't said anything direct about the Lord. And then Srimad Bhagavatam came. But before Srimad Bhagavatam, anything which was close enough, direct about the Lord was this, Shri Īśopaniṣad. So Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses, a lot more detail about the Lord Krishna. So one verse says, Ete cham shakalapam sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So who is the Bhagavan? Who is the Ishwar? Nowhere else it says. In Upanishads, the word is absolute truth. But we don't know the name of the truth. But Bhagavatam tells us what is the name of that absolute truth, that Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then it goes further. There are many planetary expansions and all. But before that, Shri Īśopaniṣad was the Grantha which talks directly about the Lord, and hence the name Shri Īśopaniṣad. Where we are now is the second part, where verse mantra 4 to 8, that how to understand Ishwar. And it's very hard to understand Ishwar, but to understand Ishwar, we need the spiritual vision. The spiritual vision comes from the Granthas. And this is what we've been discussing. So we have discussed 4 to 5, 6 to 7, 4 to 5 that is hard to understand, 6 to 7 that if we want to understand, we have to understand where we are in the worldly conditions, worldly events, worldly people. If you want to understand Ishvara, which is spiritual, we have to understand from the point of view of material things, which in terms of the analogy we always discuss, that if sun is there, how do we know sun is there? Through the sunlight. How do we know sunlight is there? Of course, we can see, but even if we can't, let's say our eyes are closed, could we still feel sun's radiation? Yes, through sun energy, right? The heat energy is there and we are there in the sun. We could feel it even if we can't see it. So that's how. Even if we can't see Krishna, we can see the energies of Krishna everywhere, everywhere. And this is what the mantra 6 and 7 went further, that whichever conditions we are, whatever the circumstances are, whatever the events of life we are going through, and whichever people we are associated with. So whether we are in the office, whether we are with the juniors, with the seniors, whether we are people we like, or whether they are people we don't like in a sense that maybe their habits are a bit different. We don't want to associate with them. But still, we will able to see the presence of Krishna in them. And this way, we always keep the harmony, which is mantra 2 of Shri Īśopaniṣad, how to keep the harmony with Īśāvāsyam principle, because everything belongs to Krishna. Even those people belong to Krishna. Even COVID comes from Krishna. There isn't anything which is not subset, not part of Krishna. And with that, we started mantra 8. And in mantra 8, the main thing we said, well, we actually discussed a lot. So maybe very quickly, if we discuss, or what we discussed, we briefly mention that. But meanwhile, if anyone has any question, any discussion point, please raise it through. Any realization you have, you would like to share. It's always good to hear. Always good to hear that. So the verse itself says Akayam. So that Krishna doesn't have the body. This is what we discussed last week as well. Hopefully we remember before Christmas that this verse says Akayam, that the Lord doesn't have the kaya, the body. But Prabhupada ji used the word unembodied. Not that there is no body, but unembodied, which is like Krishna is not limited into this body. And then later we understand that Krishna doesn't have material body. And how do we understand that? If we go further, we discuss this Arthapati postulation, which says that there are two apparent contradictory statements, but to understand those two statements, we need to have Arthapati, which is like concluding statement. If that concluding statement is there, we can understand those two statements. So Ravi doesn't eat throughout the day, Ravi's weight is increasing. Now, if Ravi doesn't eat throughout the day, how his weight is increasing? The Arthapati, the concluding statement is that Ravi eats secretly at night. So if you understand these two, if we understand this concluding point, then we know. But this statement might not be there in the context we are reading the Grantha. And hence we need the spiritual master. Hence we need other devotees. Hence we read the association. So anyone could pick mantra 8 and just try to interpret based on his own. mentality, right? And I always give the example of mobile phone, for example, like 40 is a long time. Let's say 20 years back, who knew that smartphone could be that smart? Like phones could be that smart, that the smartphone would be that touch phone. You could just touch the screen because they were all push buttons. I don't think anybody could do that. But these days, if you think about it, then we all have. So if we can't understand even the material, or can't even predict, and even these days, if you go to the villages, then those people who are not exposed to the current technology, they will get surprised, and they do get surprised. I remember there was a time when somebody got surprised how magnet works. So there was a kind of magician, local villager, and he, in the village, there was a local, another guy, he was doing a magic. And in that, he, under the table, he had the magnets. He was moving the magnets under the table, and the things were moving on top of the table. And people, oh God, wow. But obviously, those who don't know how science, magnetic field works, they will get surprised. But those who know, they know the guy is doing something inside. Right? And that's how it is. This Arthapati is that science, that magnetic field, the knowledge, the wisdom, which we might not have, but somebody senior than us might. So that's the reason we should always be in association. We should not read alone. Or we can read alone, but always get our alignment with somebody who has done a bit more than us. It doesn't have to be somebody who's a sannyasi, hard to find, but it's always good to have the association of a sannyasi, but we might not be able to find them. But any senior Vaishnava will do the job. So this, if we understand this concept, then we can understand how it says Kayam or Rupya, that God has no form. That's the first statement. But then another statement we have read where it says Rupya, which means multiple forms, many forms. So how to understand those two? Now, the way to understand is the same concept of Arthapati, that we have the concluding statement, which is that God has no material form, has many spiritual forms. Now, this is very hard for some, especially Prabhupada take the name of Mayavadis. Those who say everything is Maya, everything is illusion around us. And to some extent, Srila Prabhupada agrees with that everything is Maya, everything is an illusion. But Mayavadis say that it doesn't exist. And Prabhupada says it does exist, but it's temporary. Now, could be the way we use the words, for example, somebody is dreaming. While we are in the dream, everything is real to us. When we come out of the dream, then we can say that, oh, that dream was not real. But as long as we are in the dream, it's all true to us. So when we make this statement, whether we are in the dream or out of dream, so currently we think about we are in the dream, we are in the material world. So Prabhupada says it's temporary. The whole, and if you read the Shastra, Shastra says the same thing, that Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, Kalyug, the cycle goes on. Cycle goes on, which means every yug finishes after a while. However, we still have, I think, 400, no, altogether 450,000, so 350,000 years is still left in Kalyug, kind of thing. I think only 5,432 years roughly have been passed since Kalyug started. So Kalyug is still in the infancy. Hence, like somebody said to me from other religion, a good friend of mine, that, you know what, Hindus will finish by the end only everybody from our religion. I won't mention which religion, but we are good friends. And we always discuss a lot of spiritual content from our religions. And he said that only our religion people will be there, Hindus will go away. And I said, I completely agree with you. And it aligns with what it says in the Shastras, that Kali is going to go that bad that all the Vaishnavas, they will get liberated. They will go back to the spiritual world. And only those who deserve to be in this material, deserve to suffer in this material world, only they will be left. And he had a laugh, and we both have a laugh. But if you read the Shastra, the Kalki Purana, that's what exactly it says. Kalki Purana mentions, now nobody knew, nobody could agree to that like 20 years back, that somebody who's 9 years old could get pregnant. But the same statement is there in Kalki Purana, that as the Kali Yuga will progress, even 9 years old, it doesn't say 9, but it says like preteen. The word for preteen is there, that preteens will get pregnant. Now, nobody could guess that 25 years back, but now it's there. And many more predictions how the Kali Yuga would progress is there in Kalki Purana. And it looks like, so COVID is nothing new. Again, from Vaishnav point of view, it was predicted that and not only COVID, things like this will happen and more often as we will get into Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, if we think is bad, it's not that bad yet. Why? Because one part, the dharma, the religion, is considered as a cow, and there are 4 legs, and 1 leg is left in Kali Yuga. So each, in Satyug 4 legs were there, then 3, then 2, and in Kali Yuga, the last yuga, 1, and that's truth. Now you would say, what? Truth? How come in Kali Yuga we have truth? Well, the reason in Kali Yuga they have truth, because we have access to Vaishnavas, and we have access to the Shastras. Those Vaishnavas who could read, interpret, and understand, and can exemplify the Shastras for us. And there are many of those around, of course, if we are in the right association. So, but as we will go along, obviously they will go away, and then it will be hard. Once the Shastras are gone, the Vaishnavas are gone, then there is no way hope of light. We need to. So we should be very serious, taking the name of the Lord, chanting as much as we can, not only for us, for our children as well. And whatever they do. So like when we started, you might remember that the bell was going because the kids were doing the art. So we do, there are 5, 6 artis we do in the day. And some of the artis we have started giving to the kids. And they might not be happy all the time doing it, but slowly, gradually, they understand the significance and they take that as a responsibility, and then they cherish it as well. So Ekadashi coming, and we are going to do, so on Ekadashi we spend a bit more time because we eat less. So the time we save in cooking and eating, we try to get a bit more closer to Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, and that's the principle. That's the reason we call it upvasa. Upvasa, vasa, stay up, near to Krishna, near to the Lord. So that's how we can understand Krishna has a material form. It doesn't have material form, but has many spiritual forms. And all the planetary expansions, Lord Rama, Narasimha Deva, Kurma, they all were the planetary expansion. They are, because it keeps happening. So the same thing when the Satyug will come again, then again later, Treta, Dwapar, Narasimha Deva will come. And in many other galaxies, those things are still going on. And now multiple galaxies been announced in our Shastra ages ago, but the modern science is still catching up, and they have now agreed that they are definitely multiple. Don't know how, but they are multiple. So this is how we can understand. The reference being given, if anybody would like to go through, from where the Arthapati statement comes from. So this is what we did. I think we did spend a bit of time of Kaya. And this is one of those, again, apparent contradiction between Dvaita and Advaita. Because Advaita will say that there is only one, which means God and us, we are the same. Because God doesn't have a body, and we have the body, we will become God. That's how they portray. But Dvaita will say that, no, we can get enlightened. We can leave this body, we can realize God, we could be liberated, but we could never become God. Again, the analogy of the drop of ocean and the ocean. We are same and similar to the ocean in terms of the quality, but in terms of the magnitude, the quantity, we could never be the ocean. The drop of the ocean could never be the ocean itself. And that's just the apparent contradiction between these two. Advaita and Dvaita. But now, so this is the understanding how this affects us on a day-to-day reality, is what we are going to discuss in this mantra now. So, as always, if there is anything we would like to discuss in detail, please let me know. Right. Otherwise, from this verse, mantra, and remember, mantra 8 is the concluding mantra from 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Mantra 9 is the new, the way we will learn about the knowledge, the wisdom, and from that knowledge, how further we can understand Krishna. But here, it says, so there are two words, the words are here actually, karma and deva, and then phala. So this is the statement, karma, deva, and phala. Now, this is what we as parents need to understand, realize, and then we need to understand our younger generation as well, not only our kids, but the friends of our kids and the fellow people as well. You know, we might have friends who might get depressed, and unfortunately during COVID, there were many who got depressed. And this is another thing which I think Mataji mentioned one time, but Avinash, he also said it, because Emirates Airlines in the history, I think history of roughly 50 years, first time laid people off, like first time they sacked people. And this friend of mine been working in Emirates Airlines for 15 years now. And people around, like people who worked for 10, 15 years, they started getting sacked as well. And he was a bit depressed initially. But then all the knowledge, all the wisdom we discussed during Bhagavad Gita, he came back and he said, that helped me a lot. And when he said it, not that it was over, the pandemic was still going, his father was in ICU, and the jobs were still going off in his company. And during that, not that everything was over and then he said it, during that phase he said, so he specifically called me, I remember I said that thank you for those classes, that I picked Bhagavad Gita again and I went to the verses we discussed, and that wisdom has given me so much comfort, right? And this is what the wisdom does. This is, so it's not, again, we always say, before Bhagavad Gita, all the weapons Arjun had, Krishna never gave any extra weapon, additional weapon to Arjun. He already had it from Dronacharya. But what Krishna did to Arjun was the wisdom, what to do, when to do, to understand what's happening and why. And that's where the concept of karma plus deva comes back. That we, and this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita, one of those principles of Bhagavad Gita, that we have the control of the karma. We can do the control. We have the choice to make karma. We can this karma, that karma. Of course, the circumstances we are, that might predict a bit. So, for example, a child being born in a royal family, a child being born in prison, for example. Those two children, when they will grow up and they will say, no, my circumstances were based on my birth. So and based on my circumstances, my lifestyle was so different. But think about it. Why they got birth in those families? Those respective families, of course, based on those respective families, their culture, the values they will get from their family, the comfort, bodily material comfort they will get, the opportunities they will get will be very different. But what determined? It's not Krishna who said, okay, you're going to go and take birth in a royal family and you go in the prison. No, it's a past karma and past deeds. And hence, we have the choice to make the karma. And again, a royal family person has a choice now, whether he can just enjoy or he can take this opportunity and serve the community, because he got enough for himself and he should share with the others. And a lot of royal families do it. Maybe not all, but a lot of them, they do it. But the same thing for somebody who was. So we know, for example, Lord Sugar. He is a typical example, a great example, who was born in a council family. His parents didn't have money, but he is one of those in the country who give, he start industries, he give his wisdom back to the government. So he's one of the government advisor. He's a lord. So he's the part of the House of Lords. And how? Karma. So whatever karma he did in the past to get birth in council family, I'm not saying that somebody who got birth in council family got a previously bad karma, but based on his circumstances, he moved further and he did great karma. And we all do. But still, what we don't have our control is the phala, the results. The fruitive results we don't have in our hand. Why? Because something which is not in our hands is deva. And this devas, this could be demigods, devta, these could be from the Lord. And all the powers, all the ascensions, all the benefits we get from demigods, they come from Krishna, from the God, from the Lord anyways. So when we go and we pray to Indra for the rain, and it's still many places happens. We had, so today is 14th, so it's Baisakhi, it's the harvesting season, and we all celebrate throughout the globe. And there are many in North India, in South, in East and West, there are different names. What do we do there? So the whole Govardhan Leela, where little Krishna said to his dad that we should pray not to Indra, because Indra was his self-ego boosted so much that he forgot. He thought, I'm the most powerful. I got all the power because all the demigods are in my control, because he was the leader. But he forgot that he derives his powers from the Supreme Lord. And that's where Krishna reminded him. The same thing for Brahma. When Brahma thought that, well, I'm the topmost, even Indra is my son, Narad is my son, I'm the first one in the material world, I'm the father of all. Right? But then, and he did, so Brahmaji's put together the Shastras, and then Brahm Samhita, and in Brahm Samhita, he glorified Lord Krishna later. And the whole incident happened, after which he realized, oh yes, I forgot about it, that Krishna, you are the Supreme. And then Krishna actually tried to tease Brahma, saying that, oh, I'm a little kid. What are you saying? Your father, everybody knows, is Narayan. And we have done the Goloka chart. Brahma of our material world, comes from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Remember, there are 3 Vishnu, Mahavishnu, only one Vishnu, Mahavishnu. All the universes come out of him, and then each universe got individual, specific, respective Vishnu called Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Why Garbhodakshaya? Because from his garb, from his navel, Brahmaji comes out. Right? But obviously, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu doesn't do anything, he lays. Most of the Shastras know about Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, that he is laying down on his water. And then, so Krishna said that everybody knows that you come from Narayan. And then Brahma says, yes, but don't try to fool me, please. Because what everyone doesn't know, that Narayan comes from you as well. This is in Brahm Samhita. So not only that Brahm Samhita says it, not only that Bhagavatam says, Ete Chamsha Kalapam Jam Krishnastu Bhagavana Swayam. And there are many, many other references. Vishnu Purana also says it. So all the demigods, all the devas, they get it from Krishna. So karma, we have the control, we have the choice, but deva, we don't. Right? And there could be many reasons. And then phala comes into it. So Karmavada versus, so Karmavada, so okay, if you go back, this is what Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji tried to explain here, that Karmavada versus Devavada. So now there are many who just focus on one, Karmavadi. They will say, oh, well, we do the karma and we get it. Now, I remember someone said that karma hi meri puja. My work is my prayers to the Lord. I don't need to do any other practices. I didn't need to take the name of the Lord, because whatever the karma, the work I'm doing, that's it. And there are others who are just sitting back, relaxed. Oh, well, if it's in my destiny, it will happen. I, in my personal life, I know some people in each category, and I hope you will remember some of them. Karmavadis, they just want to get things done. And when things don't get done, because they don't have the concept of Deva, they don't understand, they get bewildered. They said, why? Why? Because we did work. Of course, if 10 people will work hard in a race, only 3 people are going to come first, second, third. Other people will say, why we didn't get it? We also worked hard. And they won't understand until unless they will understand the Arthapati, the last statement, the Deva, but they didn't have the blessings. Of course, there could be many reasons why not. We have the qualification, the bestowal of the mercy of the Lord needs to be there. So they are Karmavadis, but Devavadis, they are even more. Karmavadis at least do actions, but Devavadis, they just sit back and relax and say, well, if Krishna would like, I will progress further. No, Krishna has already given us all to progress further. Krishna will bestow his mercy, but we don't have any limit how much karma we do. So this is where the Karmavadis, that everything is in my hands and I will make it success. But when these people don't get the success, they fall. And that's the reason we need to make it so clear to our kids that it's not all in our hands. Learn and accept the failure. And even modern psychologists, they have started saying it, that put together. So I did this psychological test somewhere where this was a training, and it's been a while, but I don't remember exactly what was the training for, or the practice, or the test, or the condition was. But what I do remember, the last statement of it, because we were split into like 4 groups, and none of us succeeded. All based on the criteria given, all were failures. And when we all came back, we were very depressed, all of us. And then the teacher said, the facilitator said, that the whole point of this exercise was not to succeed, but to fail. For you to accept that failures are part of the journey. It was actually work related. That if you are part of a project, if you are a leader of a project, then you might not succeed all the time. And you got to accept the failures and accept it gracefully. Not lie, not try to brush under the carpet. Accept it. We failed. Lesson learned. Let's move on. And imagine if you can do that. There won't be any more suicides in the... How many people commit suicide? How many brilliant people commit suicide? Right? Imagine all those qualifications, the wisdom, the skills they have. But just because they could not understand the failure, they could not accept the failure. Why? Because they were part of Karmavadis. And there are many examples, both in East and West. Unfortunately, even in East, we have started seeing this, because obviously we have started following modern Western culture a lot. Otherwise, in East, we didn't have suicides. So we need to understand. We do need to. Now, the next one we said, Devavada. And there are many. How many people go to astrologers on day-to-day basis? How many people have changed their names? Oh, I need to add extra K, extra A, because astrologer said it. Devavada. And they will just sit back and relax. Nothing is in my hands. Everything is based on Lord. And of course, they won't get work done. Now Krishna is waiting. Krishna is waiting. You do your action. I'm ready to bestow the mercy. It's like a king. King is saying to his son, who is a prince, that get qualification. In olden days, become expert in archery, learn everything about the business ship. I will give you my business. I would like to give it. I want to retire. I want the next generation to take over. But if the kid will go to university and say, well, if my father wants to give, he will give me anyways. Why do I need to learn? Or maybe my father doesn't want to give. But father is just waiting. Father is waiting for the son to be qualified and wise enough. What happens then? And there's a great story I read to Shivani yesterday, which is there's a Prabhuji who put together the 50 stories in a book, and we read at least one every night, sometimes two if they are short. And very similar on this concept that there was a king who had a very lazy prince, and he tried explaining a lot to him. And we might have children sometimes with him, right? We say, oh, our children, the mind is beautiful, but he doesn't work. Or we say, oh, he study a lot, but he doesn't get marks. You will see a lot of parents saying this. Our children are brilliant, right? But doesn't put the efforts. Or put a lot of efforts, but doesn't get the marks. Now, similar thing, this king had a son who wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. He was doing all the bad things. And then he got fed up and he said, there is only one solution now. Let me take him to my spiritual master. He went into there was a sannyasi in the jungle. He went there, paid obeisances, respects, and said, here is my son. If you could do something with him, if you could make him a responsible leader, please return it back. Otherwise, I give him to you. He's no use to me or my kingdom or my subjects. He's not ready to be a leader to serve the society. The teacher said, all right, let me see what I can do. And the teacher tried a few things, wasn't ready. And there's another incident. This is a real one which happened where, so if you combine these two together, just for the sake of understanding, if this spiritual teacher said to him, all right, take the name of the Lord and come back to me after taking a shower. This guy take the name of the Lord the whole day. While he went to the river, took the shower. While he was coming, a sweeper was there. And sweeper, while sweeping, might have touched this guy. And he got so upset. And he said, I have to go back again and take the shower. He went back in the river, changed the clothes, come back. And the teacher observed that. Of course, it was a small place. Teacher got to know. And the spiritual master said, you're not ready yet. Go back, take the name of the Lord, take the shower, change clothes, and come back when you're clean. He comes back. The second thing, sweeper did something similar again. He got upset again, said a lot of bad things to the sweeper, gone back, took the shower, came back to the spiritual master. Spiritual master said the same thing again. The third time, mind that the guy was taking the name of the Lord again and again. The third time when he came, when the sweeper did it, this time he gave a hug to the sweeper. And sweeper, who was also angry by now that every time he does it, this sweeper got surprised. And this guy said, tell you what, you are my teacher. You helped me to understand that it wasn't your mistake, it was my mistake, because I had the choice not to become angry. You did your karma, whatever you were doing, whether somebody asked you to do it or it was happening unintentionally, but I had the choice because I had to take the shower, take the bath in the river anyways now. What was the point of getting angry? This time when he went to the teacher, teacher said, you're ready. Teacher said then, this is the second part of the story, teacher said, there's, would you like to be very wise? Would you like to succeed your father and become a king? He said, yes. He said, there's a neem tree behind you. Take few leaves and you will become the most wisest person. I took some leaves, and as soon as the leaves were bitter. He said, what? Why did you do this with me? These are bitter leaves. Why did you ask me to do that? And again, because of his previous habits, he said, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your presence, Mataji. I look forward to see you next time. Then we'll pronounce Mataji. Mataji just needs to leave, so I think there is another session Mataji attends. So this boy this time said, I will, the prince, I said, I will uproot the whole tree of this neem. This neem is so bad, it doesn't need to be here. I will uproot it. He said, just because you could not understand the significance of the leaves, just because the leaves were so bitter to you, you want to uproot the whole tree. Think of yourself. That if you are so bitter, when you will succeed your father as a king, and your bitterness is still there, you have developed so many enemies because of your bitterness, they will try to uproot you and the whole kingdom of yours because of your bitterness. Now, the leaves of these trees, they didn't have the choice, but you have the choice with you. And he spent a lot more time with the spiritual master. Finally, he understood it. He went back and his father was quite happy. Happy ending as always. So we need to understand that Karmavada, Devavada, the wisdom we get out of it. Now, what we call is how to be purified, Shuddham, right? And okay, let's introduce this concept. So, of course, in this, just to conclude, the Karmavada and Devavada, that we don't align with one or other. We combine those two together. We do our karmas, but then again, there should be a permission of the Deva to get the phala. And sometimes, always actually, it's even if we do all the hard work, we don't get the results because it's not in our benefit. It's not in our benefit. And before we go to, okay, we will skip this Shuddham for now, because when we will do, so this is from Radhesham Prabhuji. When we will do this, we will combine this last Shuddham point, that how we can get purified. Remember, the whole point of the Shastras is to purify our consciousness. So when we say we need to be Krishna consciousness, currently we are materially consciousness, isn't it? We always think about money, we always think about fame, we always think about power, we always get angry, envious, jealousy. All these are like dirt. If we clean our consciousness, if we purify our consciousness, then we can understand what we call absolute truth. We can realize Ishvara. Right? And this is, and everything around us helps us. And this is the whole process of devotional service. We serve everyone. Those we like, those we can't go along with. We serve everyone we can. Of course, based on our capacity. So there is no hard and fast rule. But a couple of minutes left. This is where we will start next week. But I would like to, based on what we've been discussing, that doesn't really matter how big we are. So from Mahabharata, there is an example where if we know that when Drona, he fell down, I think on day 10, right? Out of 18 days, I think around day 10, he fell down. And the next day we needed, so Kaurava needed, so Duryodhan, he needed to select a new leader. He went to Karna being the best friend, he went there to him, but Karna said that I won't. And Karna been waiting because Bhishma, they've said that Karna will not take part as long as I'm there. But when he fell down, then Karna said that, thank you so much. I'm honored you want to give me position, but I think you should give position to your teacher, Drona. So Duryodhan went to Drona. Drona let Karna fight, but Drona was very happy. Drona said, I knew you would go to Karna, which I think you did. But I'm very happy that you have come to me and let me know what I can do for you. This is what he said to Duryodhan, Dronacharya. And then he said, I want you to capture Yudhishthir. And Duryodhana said, wow, Yudhishthir being Ajatshatu, like he doesn't have enemy, even you don't want to kill. You should have asked me to kill Yudhishthir, but even you don't want to kill him. He said, no. It's not like that. If you will kill Yudhishthir, then his brothers, especially Bhishma and Arjun, they will go havoc. Oh, it's hard to control them. But if you will capture Yudhishthir, then they won't do anything because they know we can kill him. So you do. Next day, Dronacharya went further. He tried everything, but he could not capture. Of course, the whole Chakravyuh was set up. And then the end of the day, Duryodhan came. Duryodhan said, "You let me down. You said you will do it." He said, "Duryodhan, don't you understand that I did everything I could, karma. I did everything I could. But Abhimanyu came in. So I did my karma, but Devas, the Ishwar's permission wasn't there. And Ishwar is with Pandavas. So it's not in my hands. This is there in Mahabharata. So we do the karma, but we got to respect the Devas, whether the demigods or directly to Krishna. Right? Of course, if we know that roots are where we should water, we will not waste time in watering the leaves or the flowers or the branches or the twigs. We will go and water the roots, the verse in Bhagavad Gita. So if we praise direct to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know all the demigods will get happy anyways. And there are many examples of that. So with that, we have reached to the time today, Karma and Deva. And we will see next week also, we'll take mantra 8 and we will see and try to understand how Radhesham Prabhuji in the slides, the flow chart, what he did, concise this, and then we will go further. Please have a read through in the Veda base. I've shared the link in the past, and then we can have some discussion on mantra. The whole point is to implement the knowledge and the wisdom we can here. So with that, I would like to say thank you for your association, your presence today, and I look forward for your association next week. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudeva ki jai.
Jai Jai Sri Radhesh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.